Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. My name is Oliver and my mission is to make you excited about organic Japanese green tea. And today what we're going to talk about is the second most popular tea in Japan. And the second most popular is not matcha, it is not sencha, it is Bancha. Bancha is a tea which is actually quite old. It came into vogue during the Edo period, so between 1608 and 1850, so to be exact, in the middle of this period. So we talk here about the beginning of the 18th century where this tea was invented, due to the fact also that in the beginning of the Edo period, or in the middle there around this time, also the rolling technique was invented, but at this time also the more kind of simple tea was quite popular among Japanese tea drinkers, and so Bancha was quite a good developed tea, or quite an appreciated tea by the Japanese people. So when I talk about the second most popular tea, what are we talking about? So we know that sencha is around 80% of the whole production of Japanese green tea in Japan. And when we go down, the second most popular is Bancha, and there we talk about around 10%. So quite a big difference between the sencha and Bancha, but finally it is the second most popular tea, and it is really worth to talk about this tea. So when we talk about the name of the tea, so let's dive into the name. So when we look at Bancha, cha, as you might know, is tea in Japanese, and ban also can have two different meanings. One meaning is simple tea, so quite referring to how the production is of this tea, what is used for the tea. As we use a little bit more mature leaves, it is called also simple tea or late tea. So some people say that the ban is actually referred to the second, third, or even the autumn harvest, which is the Akibancha. There we talk about the late tea, and that's why Bancha means late tea. So two significations, two different kinds of how you can interpret the name, but finally leading to the same beautiful tea which I have in front of me. So what is used for Bancha? When we just have a look at the tea, so you can see that this tea here has a beautiful kind of good mix of stems and leaves, and the color is a little bit darker, so it's not this vibrant, typical vibrant green, but it's more kind of a little bit more kind of a darker, going into the wooden color, tea leaf color. So here we talk about really more mature leaves used for this tea. What then brings this tea kind of a good side effect with it, it is quite an affordable tea. So when we talk about Bancha, we are talking at less than half of the price of the superior senchas, of the good senchas. So you might find, for example, or you can find Bancha around $9 to $10 per 100 gram, which is quite an affordable tea. And often also Japanese really like to drink this tea just due to the fact that it is a good tea, but at a very affordable price. So when we talk about a little bit the positive effects of the Bancha, so what the Bancha is known for is, on the one hand, for its alkalizing effect. Due to the setup that these are more mature leaves, it is there are more micronutrients and there are more minerals in these leaves. They're not as high as, for example, with a sencha, with a gyokuro, which is a very high price leaf, but in general, due to the fact that these are more mature leaves, it is quite a good and mineral rich tea. Especially in terms of tannins, there's a good richness and variety of different tannins in these leaves, leading to the fact that it is helping with digestion, and that's why also Japanese people really like to drink this tea after a meal or in general for digestion. So this tea often consumed throughout the day and often after a meal. What is also nice, that it is actually quite soft to the intestine. So if you have intestines problems, sometimes green tea can be a little bit like coffee, a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too acidic. Here alkalizing and soft to the intestines, so very easy to drink. Also when you have a little bit of stomach problems, can be also a solution if you're a little bit sensitive to green tea, but you actually want to drink green tea. Bancha can absolutely be a solution. for you. Then what is a nice side effect as well is that the Bancha compared to a Sencha is quite low in caffeine. So what does mean low in caffeine? It is around 35 to 40% of a normal Sencha. It can go up to 50%. So when we talk about the Sencha, we talk about 70 to 80 milligrams of caffeine, which corresponds more or less with a normal Arabica coffee. And here with the Bancha, we are talking about 40 to 45 milligrams. So this is around half of the caffeine content, depending on the Sencha, what you're using. If you have a Kabuse Sencha, so a shaded Sencha, then you go a little bit higher in caffeine, then it can be less. But just to, in comparison to a normal Sencha, there the Bancha is around 45 to 50%, and in comparison to a high-grade Sencha, it's around 30 to 35%. So this is quite nice. So you can drink it in the afternoon easily, and even if you're not too sensitive to caffeine, you can go and drink it in the evening. If you're more sensitive to caffeine, I suggest you to go a little bit more into the stem tea section. So you have Kukicha or Karigane. These even have less caffeine content than, for example, the Bancha, but Bancha is very close with them. With the Kukicha, we talk about 20 milligrams, and the Karigane can go to 25 to 30 milligrams. So even still lower than the 40 milligrams of the Bancha, but they're getting close, so absolutely possible for you to drink it. And yeah, this is more or less what Bancha is. So a very easy tea to drink, a very good tea to drink. And when you want to a little bit have a kind of a softer tea, I really like to drink this tea, especially when I'm doing exercise. So when I'm coming back from exercise, I have a little bit, especially with weightlifting, you have a little bit more of acidity in your body. This tea is just perfect, just to kind of wash out or wash through your body, and to really bring a little bit of an alkalizing effect in my body. That's at least what I feel. That's why I like to drink this tea, especially in the evening time after I've done exercise. But let's go a little bit in the taste of this tea. So when we talk about Bancha, as I said before, mature leaves, when we just smell the leaves, there directly are more wooden notes. So a little bit more of earthy, darker wooden notes. There's no like chocolate notes. It's really on the side of the wooden. There's also some stems in this tea. Because this tea is not very finely curated. It is a simple tea. It stays a simple tea, more mature leaves, and then absolutely some stems are part of this tea. In terms of temperature, what I'm using tonight is 70 degrees Celsius. So I'm talking here around 155 to 160 Fahrenheit. That's how I brew this tea. 1 minute is more than enough. Then I really want to see how the taste evolves of this tea. I would say it really goes strong in the wooden. So just when I smell now the leaves, they're very beautiful in terms of the wooden note. I have a little bit of a sunflower seed as well swinging with it. A little bit of nuttiness, but not this kind of sweet nuttiness, which I know from the Gyokuro side or maybe even from the matcha side, but kind of a drier nuttiness flowing or swinging with the taste of the tea. Good, so now I'm curious to see how this tea tastes. I guess we already can take the first brewing. And we see beautiful kind of darker color, a little bit more, nearly going into the orangey. So let's bring out all of the water. So you can see the leaves. They do not unroll so much as they are already quite open. So these are not typical rolled leaves. So you can see that this tea definitely is quite good in terms of giving the flavor directly to the water. So you don't have to brew it for too long. 1 minute is like with the normal senchas or the regular senchas, more than enough. So let's smell the the wet leaves. Okay, I'm moving a little bit away from the wooden, but there's much more. There's a really nice, so the kind of this before I had a little bit more of earthy tones as well with it. Now I'm definitely getting more of the there's a kind of a sweetness, a little bit of woodenness, and it's kind of when you have a young tree and then you just break off a small part of it, then you have this fresh smell of kind of young wood. This is definitely what I'm getting here. So we have more, not a going away, but a drifting from kind of a little bit of typical wood notes into a younger wooden note. So let's see how the taste is like. The wooden notes definitely there. It's a very smooth and very fine tea, but it's not like this typical smoothness which you know when there's a lot of theanine, so a lot of kind of this savory taste profile with it, but it's kind of a nice wooden flavor. Strong on the earthy note. There's not a lot of fresh cut grass notes with it. I have a little bit the sunflower seed flavor profile. I have a little bit of the almondy, but not the peeled almonds, really the normal brown almonds. And it's just so easy, so smooth. It really feels and warms my body, or the kind of warms up my body. It just has this beautiful, beautiful kind of lightness with it, but still on a wooden note, which are a little bit more of this stronger flavor profiles, not so light or not kind of this sweet, fruity, savory side, which you might know from Japanese green tea, but it really stays on a soft, kind of smooth, wooden side. I think smoothness is the best thing that describes it. It reminds me a little bit of Okomidori, but Okomidori then drifts off in a kind of a sweet, savory profile, and here we have the same smoothness, but then it drifts off into a more of a wooden, darker, a little bit more of a nutty flavor profile. So let's give it a second one. So the wooden side intensifies. Ooh, this one is now very nice. So I have kind of a wooden, strong nutty, and a little bit of a creamy. There's a little bit of the tannins. I start to feel them. There is a little bit, it's a slight acidity, but very well covered by the smoothness, the woodenness, the nuttiness. It's an excellent brewing for the second one. So here I used a little bit more, so I would say about 7 grams of leaves, which I used, and that's the first time I used that much of so many leaves, so that much of grams. So the tea is quite intense, so the more you take, the quite more surprising can be also the second brewing. Good, so this was this. I hope you liked the Bancha session of tonight, and if you ever have a question or if you want to cover me anything, just ask me. I'll be happy to do so, and I would say I see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye and see you.